Hey everyone, welcome to 59 Topps Friday, presented by Wax Pack Wisdom, where we talk baseball history through the cards we love. My name is Jake T. O'Donnell. We built the iconic 1959 Topps baseball set, and in this series we're going through every card to talk about the players, teams, and people who made up Major League Baseball in 1959. Today we'll cover cards 507 to 514 in the set. We're officially entering the home stretch of 59 Topps Friday. Starting this week, we're covering the high number series of the 1959 Topps set. The biggest difference you'll notice is the paper stock and ink colors on the back of these cards. While most of the previous cards were printed on either white or gray paper stock with red and green ink, the high number cards were printed on exclusively white paper stock with red and black ink. Card number 507 belongs to Bob Hale of the Baltimore Orioles. 1959 was Hale's fifth year in the big leagues. Hale was a first baseman and pinch hitter who played for the Orioles, Indians, and Yankees. Hale signed with the Browns in 1952. He was called up to the majors with the Orioles in 1955 after the Browns relocated and rebranded in Baltimore. Hale built a reputation as a highly effective pinch hitter, and in his first season, his batting average was .357 in 67 games played. In 1956, he played a career high of 85 games, but with only a .237 average. For the following three seasons, he bounced between the high minors and the majors with the Orioles. Hale was placed on waivers and played 2 seasons for Cleveland, working exclusively as a pinch hitter. In 1961, he was purchased by the Yankees, where he would finish his final season in the majors. Hale ended his big league career with a .273 batting average, 171 hits, and 89 RBI. Following his playing days, Hale worked in sports coaching and athletic administration, including as director of athletics at Oakton Community College. Hale also worked as an elementary school principal. He scouted and served as a minor league coach for the White Sox, Athletics, Dodgers, and Cubs. He died in 2012 at the age of 78. Card number 508 belongs to Art Fowler of the Los Angeles Dodgers. 1959 was Fowler's fifth year in the big leagues. He was a right-handed pitcher who played for the Redlegs, Dodgers, and Angels. Fowler's older brother Jesse pitched for the 1924 St. Louis Cardinals. As of this recording, the Fowlers hold the record for the largest age difference between brothers who played in Major League Baseball at almost 24 years. Art Fowler played in the minors for 10 years before making his Major League debut in 1954 at the age of 31. He finished with a 12-10 win-loss record his first year in the majors with a 3.83 ERA. 1955 and 1956 were his last years as a starter, appearing almost exclusively as a reliever after that. After a less than stellar year with the Dodgers in 1959, Fowler appeared as a member of the Los Angeles Angels expansion team in 1961 at the age of 38. He played there until 1964. Fowler was released by the Angels on May 15, 1964 at the age of 41, the oldest player to appear in an American League game that season. Fowler ended his big league career with a 54-51 win-loss record, a 4.03 ERA, and 539 strikeouts. He stayed on as a batting practice pitcher for the Angels for the remainder of the 1964 season. He continued to play in the minors after that. In 1968, Billy Martin hired Fowler when the former became the manager of the AAA Denver Bears, which began a long friendship and professional association. Fowler followed Martin to the Twins, Tigers, Rangers, Yankees, and Athletics. Fowler died in 2007 at the age of 84. Card number 509 belongs to Norm Cash of the Chicago White Sox. 1959 was Cash's second MLB season, and this is his rookie card. Cash's MLB career got off to a slow start with the White Sox, but a trade to the Tigers unlocked his power. When he retired after 17 seasons, Cash had hit the fourth most home runs by any American League left-handed hitter in history, behind just Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Lou Gehrig. Cash signed with the White Sox out of college in 1955. He spent 2 seasons in the military and eventually debuted with the White Sox in 1958. In just 71 games with the White Sox over 2 seasons, Cash hit .241 with 4 homers and had just 4 hitless at-bats in the White Sox 1959 World Series loss to the Dodgers. After that season, Cash was first traded to the Indians and then the Tigers just before the 1960 season started. A respectable first season in Detroit led to a prolific second one. In 1961, Cash socked 41 homers, drove in 132 runs, led the AL with 193 hits, a .487 on base percentage, and won the batting title at .361. He made both All-Star teams that year and finished 4th in league MVP voting. From that season, Cash was a dependable power bat and solid first baseman for the Tigers for the rest of his career. He made all-star teams again in 1966, 1971, and 1972. He hit 30 or more homers 5 times. In the clubhouse, Cash was beloved by his teammates. His longtime teammate and Hall of Famer Al Kaline once recalled, quote, "Whenever you mention Norm Cash, I just smile. He was just a fun guy to be around and a great teammate," close quote. The Tigers won the AL pennant in 1968, and in a hard-fought World Series against the Cardinals, Cash batted .385 with a homer and 5 RBIs, starting a rally in Game 7 that propelled Detroit to a championship. In his career, Cash never wore a batting helmet during games. Cash finished his career after 1974 with 377 homers and a .277 average. He worked in television after his career, including as a colorman for Tigers games. Cash's life was tragically cut short in 1986 after an accident at a northern Michigan lake when he slipped, hit his head on a dock, and drowned at the age of 52. Card number 510 is the New York Yankees team checklist. The checklist on the back of the card covers cards 496 through 572 in the set. By any measure, the Yankees were the team of the 1950s. During the decade, the Yankees appeared in the World Series 8 times and won 6 of them. They were led by a Hall of Fame manager in Casey Stengel, and other Hall of Famers dotted the lineup and pitching staff through the decade, including Joe DiMaggio, Johnny Mize, Phil Rizzuto, Whitey Ford, Yogi Berra, and Mickey Mantle. There were plenty of other stars, such as Allie Reynolds, Eddie Lopat, Bob Turley, Hank Bauer, Gil McDougald, Bobby Richardson, Tony Kubek, and more. But after winning the World Series over the Braves in 1958, the Yankees had their worst season in several decades in 1959. The club finished in 3rd place in the American League, but won just 79 games, marking the first time the Yankees had failed to win 80 games in a season since 1925. However, the Yankees would turn things around, heading back to the World Series in 1960 and winning the Fall Classic in 1961 and 1962. Card number 511 belongs to George Soucy of the Detroit Tigers. 1959 was Soucy's 5th and final year in the big leagues. We should note here that this player, George Daniel Soucy, shares a first and last name with his father, George Cyril Methodius Soucy, who was also a Major League Baseball player. The older Soucy was a catcher and later coached baseball. The younger George Soucy signed with the Red Sox in 1950, and a month later his father was awarded a managerial position in the Red Sox farm system. The younger Soucy was unable to launch his professional career in 1950 after breaking his leg in a pickup football game with his brothers and friends. After returning to the minor leagues, Soucy's baseball career was further delayed by military service in 1952 before making his major league debut in 1955. Soucy earned a regular spot in the rotation after proving himself in multiple relief situations. In 1956, Soucy took a vicious line drive to his right ankle off the bat of teammate Frank Malzone. The injury, combined with the club's acquisition of veteran Bob Porterfield and the emergence of rookie Dave Sisler, forced Soucy back into the bullpen. Later that season, Soucy was hospitalized for arm swelling, which was determined to be circulation issues. In 1958, when the Red Sox were required to reduce their roster to 25 players, Soucy was placed on waivers and was picked up by the Tigers, where he remained until the end of the 1959 season. He ended his major league career with a 22-17 win-loss record, a 4.42 ERA, and 177 strikeouts. Soucy remained in the Boston area after his retirement from baseball, working in construction, including founding his own construction company until he retired to his winter home in Florida. He worked countless youth baseball clinics in Florida, where he served as an instructor alongside his dad for a while. He was also known as an extraordinary cook. Soucy died in 2010 at the age of 78. Card number 512 belongs to George Altman of the Chicago Cubs. 1959 was Altman's first year in the big leagues, and this is his rookie card. He was an outfielder who played for the Cubs, Cardinals, and Mets. Altman excelled in baseball, basketball, and football in high school. He attended Tennessee A&I State University, which did not have a baseball team until he was a junior. He played basketball in college but was not drafted into the NBA due to a knee injury impacting his jumping. He received his college degree and thought about coaching sports. However, the business manager of Tennessee A&I tipped off a scout about Altman for the Kansas City Monarchs of the Negro American League in 1955. He played for the Monarchs for 3 months before signing with the Cubs. His play in the minor leagues was interrupted by military service in the Army, where he continued to practice baseball when he could. After returning, Altman made his major league debut in 1959 for the Cubs. Altman quickly gained a reputation for having one of the most feared bats in baseball. He became the Cubs' regular right fielder in 1961 and hit .303 with a league-leading 12 triples. Altman was a three-time All-Star in 1961, twice, and 1962. Altman was traded to the Cardinals for 1963, which brought a disappointing season. He ended up with the Mets for a season after finishing his career with the Cubs. In 1965 and 1966, Altman worked as a spare outfielder plagued by persistent injuries. Altman ended his American baseball career with a .309 batting average, 205 home runs, and 256 RBIs. In 1968, Altman began a career in the Japanese Baseball League playing for the Lotte Tokyo Orions until 1974 and then the Hanshin Tigers in 1975. After returning to Chicago, Altman worked as a commodities trader and ran a prepaid legal services business. He was also a volunteer and mentored youth in the community, focused on keeping kids off drugs and alcohol. As of this recording, Altman is 92 years old and will be 93 in March of 2026. Card number 513 belongs to Tommy Carroll of the Kansas City Athletics. 1959 was his third and final season in the majors. Carroll was a New York native who signed with the Yankees out of Notre Dame in 1955. He was a victim of the bonus baby rules of the era that forced him to stay on the MLB roster for 2 years, even though he wasn't really ready. As a teenager, Carroll played in just 50 MLB games over 2 seasons for the Bombers. He did make the most of his opportunities, getting 8 hits and 23 at-bats. Carroll appeared in 2 games in the 1955 World Series but did not come to the plate. After fulfilling his roster requirements, Carroll was sent down to the minors where he moved from shortstop to third base. Just before the 1959 season started, Carroll was traded to the A's. He played 14 games in the majors that season, getting 1 hit and 7 at-bats. In total, Carroll was a career .300 hitter in the majors in 64 games. He retired from baseball after spending 1960 in the minors. Carroll joined the U.S. State Department after baseball and served in many countries in a long career, including time in Latin America. He died in 2021 at the age of 85. His obituary hinted that his official job at the State Department was likely a cover for work with the CIA. Card number 514 belongs to Bob Gibson of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1959 was his first major league season. This is Gibson's rookie card. He is the only player with a rookie card in the 1959 top set who was later elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame as a player. From humble origins in Omaha, Nebraska, Gibson would become a singularly dominating pitching presence, an all-time World Series performer, and among the most fiercely competitive and intimidating pitchers to ever take the mound in Major League Baseball. Gibson was the youngest of 7 children, and he grew up in a housing project in Omaha. He excelled as a youth in both baseball and basketball. Despite an offer from the Cardinals after high school, Gibson attended Creighton University as the first black basketball player to attend on scholarship in the school's history. He also played all around the diamond on the baseball team. Gibson agreed to a deal with the Cardinals after school that allowed him to play both baseball and spend time with the Harlem Globetrotters, but after a few months, he chose to focus solely on baseball. After spending 1957 and 1958 in the minors, Gibson debuted with the Cardinals in 1959. He spent time shuttling between the majors and minors his first 2 years and struggled when he came back up for good in 1961, leading the National League in walks that year. Gibson found his control and his form in 1962, winning 15 games with a 2.85 ERA and making both NL All-Star teams. In 1964, the Cardinals were well out of the NL pennant race when they traded for future Hall of Famer Lou Brock, and the club stormed back in the standings, with Gibson winning 19 games and striking out 245 in just over 287 innings pitched. In the World Series against the Yankees, Gibson made 3 starts, 2 of which were complete games, and he gutted out a win in Game 7 to give the Redbirds the World Series title. In 1965, the uber-athletic Gibson won the first of 9 consecutive Gold Glove awards. The Cardinals were again the class of the National League in 1967, but Gibson missed some time after a Roberto Clemente line drive fractured his leg. In a prime example of his competitiveness, Gibson initially refused to leave that game and pitched to 3 more batters before exiting. In the World Series against the Red Sox, Gibson was a force, pitching complete game victories for the Cardinals in Game 1, Game 4, and Game 7, and hit a home run in the decisive Game 2. He won both his second World Series ring and his second World Series MVP. This was all a prelude to Gibson's otherworldly 1968 campaign. It was a golden era for pitchers, and Gibson was the best in the world. Over 304 2/3 innings pitched, Gibson's ERA was a microscopic 1.12, easily the lowest for any starter over a full season after the dead ball era. 13 of his 34 starts were shutouts, and he led the league with 268 strikeouts. Not only did Gibson win the NL Cy Young Award for the first time, he was also voted the NL's most valuable player. The Cardinals were once again NL pennant winners, and Gibson set the all-time World Series single-game strikeout record in Game 1 against the Tigers with 17. He won Game 4 as well, but this time in Game 7 he was defeated and the Tigers took home the championship. While the Cardinals did not make the postseason again in Gibson's career, he was once again the NL's best pitcher in 1970, winning his second Cy Young Award and notching a career-high 23 victories. He continued to be productive through 1974, but fell off in 1975, his last year. In 17 MLB seasons, Gibson won 251 games, had a 2.91 ERA, and made 9 All-Star teams. Upon his retirement, Gibson's 3,117 strikeouts was second only in MLB history to Walter Johnson. He was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame on the first ballot in 1981. Gibson worked in broadcasting after his playing career and even called some basketball in addition to baseball. He also spent time on the coaching staffs of his former teammate Joe Torre. In 1999, Gibson was named to the Baseball All-Century team. He died in 2020 at the age of 84. That's going to do it for this edition of 59 Tops Friday on Waxback Wisdom. Today's episode was written by Abby O'Donnell and Jake T. O'Donnell. Do you have a story about one of the people, players, or teams we discussed today? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our Waxback Wisdom content. In the video description, you'll find our source material for this episode, links to where you can follow us on our social media channels, as well as a list of our favorite nonprofits and charities. Please consider a donation to one of them if you enjoyed this content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Waxback Wisdom. Take care.